Hello everybody. In the last week, TCS and HCL Tech both have released their quarterly results. And in this video, we are going to do a showdown comparison between how TCS has done and the difference between TCS and HCL. So let's get started. And before that, you might say that, hey, I don't really care about how TCS is doing or how HCL is doing, right? But I would say learning at least about a few metrics like how their revenues are growing, which are the prominent areas for that revenue growth, can help you keep up to date with that industry. Where are the job opportunities? What are the kind of things that you should learn so that you can get more salary? End of the day, you have to pay taxes. So if you are at least earning more, it's better, right? You can save a little more or you can spend a little more. So let's get started with the first point, which is on the headcount numbers. TCS very clearly said that, hey, our headcount numbers have increased by 5,000 people. The first in the last 4-5 quarters. On the other hand though, HCL has said, hey, our headcount numbers did not increase. In fact, our total headcount, the total number of employees has come down from 2,27,000 to 2,19,000. So 8,000 employee reduction in HCL scenario. And why did this happen? It is not that they have went ahead and fired or they laid off these 8,000 people. The 8,000 people, the reduction primarily has been happening because HCL has divested a business. Without going into too much technicality, I'll just explain what has happened. HCL Tech had a joint venture and now they are letting go of that joint venture. So the people who were a part of HCL and this joint venture sitting under the HCL umbrella, now they are moving into a different company. So it is not that they are getting laid off. It's just that they are moving into a different company. That's all. So there are no headcount reductions as such in the IT space as of now. So you don't need to worry about this factor. The second thing is, as expected, once again, HCL quarterly results are also mostly about Gen AI. If there are 10 to 15 analyst questions, all the questions are around, hey, is the Gen AI revenue for your company an incremental revenue, or is it basically taking out the revenue from other services? What exactly are you doing in Gen AI? How do you think the Gen AI revenues will grow? These were the exact same questions in the TCS space, and this is the exact same set of questions in the HCL space as well. But let me give you a counterintuitive perspective on the Gen AI space, and I'll also tell you why this is important. First and the most important question is, when did this entire Gen AI concept itself come into the commercial or rather research space? If you know the answer, just write it in the comment section. The first popular research article was published in 2015. I'm talking about research. And then the commercial or a business use case was just getting started to be framed in 2018, 2019. So it is less than 5 years, honestly, where people have experience in the Gen AI space, building foundational models or even RAGs, these kind of things. Anybody who has less than 5 years experience as well in the generative AI space now is gold. I'm not just speaking about India, but anywhere in the world. Companies like Microsoft, Google, they don't want these employees to go out and work somewhere else. They are ready to pay a lot of money and keep them in their company because it's difficult to find this talent, even for these guys. So what are HCL and what are TCS and other service providers doing then? They are just acting themselves as wrapper services. That's what it is called as, right? They are not building the foundational LLMs models, large language models. They are using the existing LLMs to build a use case or to implement the service at a client site. That's all. But if you can dig yourself one level deeper, right, in whichever capacity and say that, hey, I will try to spend that time and learn a bit more about this entire Gen AI space, it is definitely a good investment of your time. Now you might say, hey, I already have 10-15 years experience, so I can't get into this space. Well, if you say that you can't get into this space, let me tell you that you are missing out on a good lifetime opportunity, because there is a lot of money to be made in this space. Of course, money is being one of the primary aspects that why we work in the corporate world, right? So please think about it. If you have a lot of experience in operations, supply chain, tech, whichever domain it is, see at least what are the relevant tools that are being played out there And if you can learn one of these tools, and then you can get into the mechanics of these tools, and then probably at least be around that wrapper service rather than being around the core foundational models, even that is completely okay. So try to get your hands dirty. And the reason I'm focusing on this point a lot is because that 1 hour conversation that I was listening to the HCL Tech Investor Relations Conference, 90% of the time was dedicated to Gen AI. So please do get started. The third conversation element is with respect to the financial services. In TCS quarterly results, TCS has announced that their revenues from the percentage share of revenues that they usually get from banking and financial services as the entire vertical, that has gone down from 32 to 30.5. And in HCL scenario as well, it is exactly playing out the same way. Their revenues from banking clients has gone down. And interestingly, the HCL CEO said that, hey, we are expecting in the next 3 months, all the revenues to go up, whether it's a manufacturing client, their revenues will go up, automotive or telecom, any other vertical, the revenues, we are expecting those revenues to grow up except banking. Banking and financial services revenues, they are still not sure if the next quarter or the next 3 months revenues would be up or same or down. And interestingly, C. Vijayakumar, who is the CEO of HCL Tech, when he was asked, why do you think this is happening? He said, like, hey, my guess is, he's used the word guess. He said that, hey, my guess is because of the macroeconomic situation is not too good. Whether it could be interest rates or whether it could be inflation, I'm not too sure, but the overall discretionary spend itself is low, right? So these are the words not used by me, but somebody who has access to almost all the client information, all the stuff that is happening at client end, and the CEO is exactly using these words: guess, don't know, macro level uncertainty. So we are also unsure if the demand for the IT services is at the rock bottom level or if it will go down further, especially in the banking and financial services. And you might ask, hey, why is banking and financial services so important? Why are we not talking about telecom? Why are we not talking about healthcare? Only about banks and finance? Because banks and finance contribute to close to 30% of the revenues for all the top IT companies in India. Whether you take Infosys, whether you take Wipro, or you take TCS. And hence, if that portion of the revenues is not growing, then the overall company will suffer. So keep an eye out on what is happening in the banking industry. That will give you a good insight into what's happening in the IT services space. The next conversation element is around, now, what are some of the green shoot areas? So green shoot areas means what are some of the areas which are growing? And this, of course, Gen AI tops the list. Then there are two more things. Both TCS and HCL are talking about similar things. Number one is cloud, hyper cloud services, which is like setting up the infrastructure. If somebody has on-premise, right, on-premise data centers, how are they transforming that to on-cloud, right? Are they transforming their legacy systems? This is one clear business focus area which is growing continuously. And all the service providers are thinking about how Gen AI will grow would be very similar to how the cloud services have grown over the past few years. So it would be an incremental growth and it won't eat into the revenues of other things that the companies are spending. So that's another insight into which are the green shoot areas, cloud. The other green shoot area is engineering services. Now, if you take another 5 seconds, you let me know which one of the IT services giants in the last 3 months has went ahead and acquired an engineering services firm. Please take 5 seconds and do write in the comment section. It indicates the growing demand for engineering services companies as well. If you are in that area, try to do capitalize and probably move into a better company or a better paying job. And the final point being, the CEO and the CFO have mentioned that right now in the last 3 months, their overall profitability for HCL is around 17%. The profit margin is around 17%, and they expect that profit margin to increase over the next few quarters. And how are they going to get that? They are going to get through very common profitability levers. Number one is productivity. Number two is utilization, and number three is pyramid. I've explained about each one of them, what they mean in the prior video. I'm giving you a link to that video. Please do go check it out, and you will understand what are some of the levers that these chief financial officers will keep pushing every single year, irrespective of the profit numbers that they currently have. So all in all, both the results are probably in the same direction. The net headcount numbers might throw you off, but that is still not a big caution, so to say. And on the other end, TCS has a one-off great quarter because of their BSNL deal, and the headcount numbers on HCL are throwing up some random surprises because of a one-off thing, which is their divestment in one of their businesses. Hope this video makes sense. Please do like, share, and also subscribe to the channel so that more of these business videos will get a lot more traction and people start appreciating this content is important as well. So see you in the next one. Bye bye.